All right, welcome to the last episode of XJWs of Arizona. So I'm your host. My name is Bo. I've been running this channel since 2019 up until obviously the date is 2025. There was an additional channel that used to exist that was removed by complaints by the organization known as Watchtower. This is my second channel, and so what I'm doing here is for my final episode, I want to show you guys the evidence and the proof that the organization known as Jehovah's Witnesses, okay, which is a corporation called Watchtower, is in reality actually belongs to a secret society referred to as the Rosicrucians. Now, the Rosicrucian order is a Masonic order, and I want to show you that not only is that evidence true, I want to physically show it to you and then show you the evidence inside the organization itself. So, what the video is going to show is on the right side of the screen, you're going to see the actual video that I'm talking about. I will be pausing it and then I will be showing you on the screen directly below it. Actually, there you go. Directly below it, the images coming from Watchtower that's corresponding with the subject matter we're in. So we'll start with subject number one, will be the Rose Cross, going all the way down to the cup. And then we'll talk about symbolisms. And this is going to be a very long video, and I hope you guys are ready. So with that being said, let's get started.
Rosicrucianism is a mystical, philosophical secret society that emerged in Europe in the early 17th century. It was known for its enigmatic teachings and influence on esoteric traditions. The Rosicrucian movement uses a wide range of symbols to convey its spiritual and philosophical messages. Let's take a look at these powerful and mysterious symbols.
Here's your first symbol.
To understand Rosicrucian symbols, we first have to look at what the movement encompassed. Rosicrucianism is a spiritual and cultural movement that combines elements of Hermeticism, alchemy, mysticism, and Christian Gnosticism. It has strong ties to Christianity through its emphasis on Christian symbols and themes. So you'll find symbols from all these traditions within Rosicrucian iconography. The name Rosicrucian itself comes from the Latin words rosa, for rose, and crux meaning cross. The concept of the rose and the cross symbolize the fusion of material and spiritual realms. The movement is traditionally traced back to the publication of 3 anonymous manifestos in the early 17th century. These texts presented the allegorical story of Christian Rosenkreutz, the supposed founder of the Rosicrucian order. It outlined the order's goals of spiritual enlightenment and the reformation of society. The Rosicrucian manifestos appeared during a time of great intellectual and religious upheaval in Europe, coinciding with the Renaissance and the early scientific revolution. The manifestos called for a universal reformation of humankind. It pushed for the pursuit of knowledge, spiritual development, and the harmonization of science and religion. These complex ideas were put forward often using already familiar symbols. Let's take a look at some of the most well-known Rosicrucian symbols.
All right,
The
here we go.
Rose Cross, Rosy Cross. This is perhaps the most iconic and central symbol of Rosicrucianism. It features a rose at the center of a cross. The cross represents the material world and the physical body, while the rose symbolizes the soul's journey, spiritual development, and the unfolding of consciousness. The rose's petals are often depicted in varying numbers, each representing different stages of spiritual growth and enlightenment. This symbol encourages Rosicrucians to pursue knowledge, wisdom, and self-improvement, integrating their spiritual insights into their daily lives. Alchemical symbols.
Okay, so we're going to stop right there. So now I'm going to show you that our first symbol is the rose cross. So let me go ahead and get this going here. We'll close this. We'll bring up our evidence. So as you can see with the presentation, this is from the video. This is the rose cross. Now we can see its spiritual, what it meant. So we talk about the rose as being the soul, and then obviously the material world is the cross, right? It's the representation. Now, when you look real close, what I want to show you guys is if what I'm saying is true, we should see the rosy cross in there, right? Well, we do, but the problem is if you don't know what it is, you're gonna miss it. But see here at the bottom with the crossing crown, that is also the exact same thing. So if you guys are familiar with the organization, you know where I'm going with this. So just to prove to you guys that what I'm saying is true, so you can look up the Rosy Cross, and then you can see that the Rose Cross is what it is. You can see a crossing crown. So you can see in the definition that there is symbolism where they actually use the crossing crown as a representation of the rose cross. So we get in here and we look at the crown symbolism and the Rose of Christian. So we see that the definition, the Google definition, is really showing you exactly what I just stated, right? So now we know that yes, the rosy cross is also represented by the cross and crown. Now, do we ever see the cross and crown? Well, we see that the organization talks about the cross and crown. You can see it's in here when you go to jw.org. Look up, should Christians use the cross, right? Well, guess what, guys? The founder of the Organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, Charles Taze Russell, was using the cross and the crown in his literature from day one. So the organization has been using the symbol of the Rose of Christians since day one. So there's another image of it. You can see it's right here. This is the magazine. So the organization is using their symbolisms in their literature, right? And so here's an actual physical copy that you can see that you can purchase on eBay. So you can see this is exactly what I said it is. All right. So with that being said, now the next one we're going to look at is the alchemy symbol. So pay real close attention to what they're saying, and then we'll get ready with the next example here.
Alchemical symbols, such as the Philosopher's Stone, Ouroboros, and the alchemical elements,
This right here, pay
sulfur,
attention.
mercury, and salt, play a significant role in Rosicrucianism. These symbols illustrate the Rosicrucian belief in spiritual transformation and the interconnectedness of all things. Alchemy in the Rosicrucian tradition is not just about physical transformations, but also about achieving inner spiritual refinement. The process of turning base metals into gold is an allegory for purifying the soul and achieving enlightenment. The Pelican. The pelican.
Okay, so we just learned about the alchemy symbols, right? Okay, so right here, this triangle, the triangle is a representation of the alchemy symbol. Okay, so and it also is also a representation of the Philosopher's Stone, which we'll talk about here. So when you go look at the alchemy symbol, right, and this is really important. So you look at the symbol, you see this diamond symbol here, that's kind of in the middle row. That's something you want to pay attention to. So you can look at here. So this is an alchemy symbol. Okay. So the diamond is a representation of the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone was a central symbol of mystical terminologies of alchemy. So the Philosopher's Stone, just so you guys understand what it is, if you guys aren't familiar with the term, what it is, it's a representation of giving you internal life. So the Philosopher's Stone is going to change you and give you a perfect body. This is the belief system, okay? Now check this out. The perfect body, right, and immortality. Where have you heard that? Now, every single Jehovah's Witness is going, wait a minute, wait a minute. Yeah, so all the Jehovah Witnesses that are watching this, they're going, well, that's the new system. That's what we do in the new system. We're going to get a perfect body and have immortality. Well, that is a stolen belief system from the Rosicrucians. So this diamond symbol right there, we talked about it. We're like, look at alchemist diamond. Right there, alchemist diamond. Pay really close attention to that. Because where do you see this? Go to jw.org, and what do you see? The alchemist diamond is on their section of the Bible. Now, the reason that it's doing this and saying this, this is the Philosopher's Stone. The diamond is a representative of the alchemist Philosopher's Stone. They are telling you that they have altered the Bible and their alteration is going to grant you a perfect body and immortality. Yeah. So that triangle symbol is throughout their literature too. It's not just something that's only on that one page on jw.org right now. It's all throughout their literature. Yeah. Now, now check this out. Watchtower Biotrack Society of New York is a Rosicrucian order, right? Alchemy symbol, Jehovah Witnesses, conference hall in Singapore, Denmark. Okay, you can live forever on Paradise Earth, 1989, page 19. The triangle pendant on the necklace carried by the thief killer contains a round seal satanic symbol from the text of witchcraft, the the Grimoire of Horus. Okay, so Denmark. Now, this conversation can end right here. When you have an entire Jehovah Witness assembly that is built in the all-seeing eye, there's no way that this was done accidentally. Like, imagine how much like effort went into building this thing to do this, to create the all-seeing eye. And this was built by the organization. So Jehovah's Witnesses governing body built this, approved this, got the monies, did everything. Now you go look at it now, it's gone. So these photos were taken, and this was before Jehovah's Witnesses were realizing that Google Earth was a thing. And so since Google Earth is around now, people realize this. They actually sold the property and destroyed it. Now, remember that philosopher's stone that we were talking about, that symbol? Well, we see this symbol all the time with the governing body. So the governing body rings are actually alchemist rings, and therefore Masonic lodges. And so you'll see this symbol with them. Now, pay real close attention. You see the inner part, right? Right here. Now, this is hidden in one of the JW images right here that I pulled yesterday. I accidentally ran into this. So half of the Philosopher's Stone interpretation is right here. So the spell is halfway here in the jail cell, which is quite interesting. So once again, there's that symbol was on the jail cell from one of their images from jw.org. You have their building they built, which is obviously the pyramid is dedicated to the Philosopher's Stone. You have the diamond, which is another representation, and this is all showing up. And so obviously people talk about this and they've said this before. And there you go. So now you guys know that the Philosopher's Stone, that the paradise on earth, alchemy is actually an alchemistic symbol. So we got two of them in here right now. Okay, so now we're going to move to the pelican. This is an interesting one. Oh. All right, here we go.
Is often depicted piercing its own breast to feed its young with its blood. This self-sacrificial act symbolizes the themes of selflessness, resurrection, and nurturing. In Rosicrucianism, the pelican is a powerful symbol of Christ, like sacrifice and the nurturing of spiritual life. It represents the idea that personal sacrifice and selflessness are necessary for spiritual growth and the well-being of others. The triangle.
Okay, so we're going to look at the pelican. So the pelican, obviously, the resurrection. We know Jehovah's Witnesses are always talking about being resurrected and going to their, paradise on earth. So let's take a look at that and let's look at those symbolisms. So selflessness, resurrection, and nurturing, right? So did you see how we're talking about the pelican, how it's picking itself and letting itself bleed, and then it's doing that for its young? I just want you guys to understand that is not true. That is not a biological thing that pelicans do. That is a complete and utter symbolism. And so Jehovah's Witnesses are really into blood worship, and we'll get more into that later, but that's just another sign of the belief system and the blood sacrifices that this organization is into. So the pelican presented, okay, so check this out. So the pelican represents the sacrifice, the spirit, the growth. It is used 58 times in Jehovah's Witness literature. Go to jw.org. So there's that pelican that we were talking about. There's the symbol. There's the one that we were just seeing that could show you that I am saying that and that is true. We can see pelicans do not do that. That's right. So they don't cut themselves because that would cause an infection. As soon as I saw this, I mean, I know about biology, and I was like, this is insanity. But yeah, so check this out. So what your guys are going to see here is on the bottom screen is actually me going to jw.org live and then looking for the pelican because I was like, pelican. I've never known or heard of anything about pelicans having anything to do with Christianity. It was kind of a new thing to me. I've never heard of it. So I thought, well, what are the odds? Let's see if this pelican is there. And so you can see to my surprise that pelicans is a really popular thing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. So Watchtower JW.org. Yeah, look at all that. And that's just one page, bro. One single page. Then we go to a second page of it, and you can continue to see even more of this stuff. All right. So I basically, hopefully you understand, I got my point. My point is that the Pelican is showing up in their organization 58 times. What does the Pelican have to do with Jehovah? Well, once you understand that it's a Rosicrucian symbolism and is really important to their religious order, then the pelican starts to make a lot more sense. All right, so next thing we're going to continue, we'll do the triangle now.
Triangles, especially those with three interlocking points, are commonly used in Rosicrucian symbolism. The triangle represents the trinity of body, soul, and spirit, as well as the three fundamental principles of alchemy: sulfur, mercury, and salt. In the context of Rosicrucianism, the triangle symbolizes the harmonious integration of the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of a person. It encourages Rosicrucians to strive for balance and wholeness in their spiritual practices, recognizing the interconnectedness of all aspects of their being. The Ankh.
Okay, so the triangle, let's go take a look. Okay, so we saw that from the video, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. We can see the representation of what it was. You can see that it represents the trinity of body, soul, and spirit. We can see the alchemist symbols. Now, that triangle is really big with the Illuminati. It's really big with the occult, and it's a known thing. So you can look it up. You can see it. This is an example. This is the actual gravesite of the founder of the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, Charles Taze Russell. He is buried with a pyramid, okay? And on the pyramid is what? The Rosicrucian symbol right there. So you have the Rosicrucian symbol, then you have the alchemist symbol that's part of the triangle, right? Which is talking about the resurrection, right? So you can see right here. So this symbol right here makes a triangle. You know, this is a Masonic thing. So things that are associated with the Masons, they put this symbol in their literature, their buildings. You just have to know where to go to look for it. So if you go to jw.org and you go look at their video, they have a video right here. This the creation day, whatever thing that they had done. This is the video. You can see that the all seeing eyes at the top. So the All-Seeing Eye, you can see that this is a representation of companies that work for Masonic groups. We can see that the organization, once again, we can see that the Denmark building is also resembles, this little witchcraft tool they use for spiritism. This image is coming from another JW uh, uh, individual, which I can't remember his name right now, but we'll see some of his stuff in a minute. So anyways, so we're gonna move on. So this symbol right here is actually belongs to a pagan god, right? Horus, which is an Egyptian god. Once again, we see the symbol, and it's in this literature with the JW. So if you were to go look at that, you can see that it's in the Live Forever book, or You Can Live Forever on Paradise Earth, 1989, page 19. It's right there, so you can see it. Again, the symbol is there, the triangle. So the triangle represents the trinity of body, soul, and spirit. Uh, sound familiar? So also Caleb and Sophia's video using 666 Saturn wallpaper. Lesson 36 discipline is love. So these symbolisms are not just in their literature, their magazines, it's in their actual videos and they're common. So Quinn Wright is the individual I was talking about. Some of our material is coming from Quinn. So this is a video Quinn does. It's now over an hour long, and what it does is Saturn worship is also associated with this triangle, and this triangle is associated with the symbol of 666. So the triangle and the Masonic orders, as well as Satanism, are all into this exact same thing. So you can see the lollipop looks like Saturn, and then this is what I want to show you guys. So this is coming directly from the JW Caleb and Sophia video that we just spoke. So in the background, you can see that there's a 6, there's another 6, and there's another 6. You put them together, it forms that triangle. Now, these kind of patterns are everywhere in the literature. And these symbolisms and doing this is actually part of the religious belief system, which we will go over once we get done with these diagrams. I'll show you some more of that stuff here in a minute. But I just want you guys to be aware of that's what this is. So we got the symbol 666 in here in the background. So ask yourself, why would the organization put 666 on their background? Like, what is the point? And then just so you guys understand, the 666 back here, in other screenshots, you can see it as well, but it's not just the only video that does this, but this is just the one we're talking about. So obviously that's, you got the 666 thing going on here. You go to jw.org. This is also from Quinn's video. These are screen captures. You can see that this is the video, Jehovah Witnesses, Faith in Action, Part 1, Out of the Darkness. You go to it, that symbol I showed you earlier that has the all-seeing eye, it's up there at the top. So you can look for this, you can go through that video, and then you can see it. Now, there's Jehovah Witnesses, Faith in Action, Part 2, Let the Light Shine. Now, this is, remember we were talking about that Masonic symbol right there? Remember we talked about that? So once again, that compass is showing up in their images. And then we'll go back so you can see that compass, that exactly what I was talking about right there. So again, there's our symbol. So now we've got 3 of them. So now let's go with the Anak.
An ancient Egyptian symbol resembling a cross with a loop at the top. This symbol represents eternal life and spiritual immortality. It represents the Rosicrucian belief in life after death and the perpetual journey of spiritual evolution. The Phoenix.
Okay, so the Anak. So we got there, it's talking about resurrection, which we know about Jehovah's Witnesses and their belief system about resurrection. Now, this is the thing is I want to tell you guys, the Anak symbol, I recognize it immediately. I know that it is in the organization's literature somewhere. I was not able to find where it was, but I do recognize it because that's how I was like, oh, I know what that is. That's an Egyptian symbol. I've seen that in the JW literature. Now, where I've seen it before, I honestly can't remember. So I did find something that I thought was even more interesting. So if you do know where the Anak is, you can put it in the comment section. That would be great so that people can see that. But so, okay, Rosicrucian belief in life after death. We know Jehovah's Witnesses believe that. The journey of spiritual evolution. We know that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that they go on a journey, and the same kind of terminology they use for they're becoming leaving the world and then joining Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Your spiritual journey. They always say this kind of stuff at their assemblies and kingdom halls. There's that symbol that I was talking about. Now pay real close attention, please, to the symbol. Okay, so the Anak, Eternal Life and Spirituality, Facebook, Jehovah Witnesses, and Friends, the symbol is used. So this is really interesting. I ran into this. So we know what the Anak is, so you can go in jw.org. You can see that they are perfectly aware of what the symbol is, right? So we know that this is an Egyptian symbol. It represents the god Horus and Isis. So there you go. Jehovah Friends, preaching, clip art right there. So this is associated with a group that is friends with Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a Jehovah's Witness face group. All right. There should be another image here. There we go. Jehovah Witnesses. This is interesting. So this is a company that deals with divorce, and they have an advertisement that is actually this is their symbol for their company, and it's using that again. And this person deals with divorces and specializes with divorces with Jehovah Witnesses. It was weird. She's got a whole thing talking about how she, works with the organization and divorce, which is interesting because Jehovah Witnesses are not supposed to get divorced. But I know, that's full bull crap. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I only know two, two or three Jehovah Witnesses that haven't been divorced. Divorce is really, really common with Jehovah Witnesses, like super common. Like half of every Jehovah Witness I've ever met are Jehovah's Witnesses. So Jehovah's Witnesses, let me say this correctly. Jehovah's Witnesses have an exceptionally high divorce rate. Now, I know they claim and say they don't, but from personal experience, unless it's just something with Arizona, which I guess could be possible, but from all the ex-members of that group that I have talked to, they said the same thing, that there's tons of people getting divorced all the time. That's really common. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's move on to the next subject, which is going to be the Phoenix. So this one is really interesting, guys. You're going to love this.
Phoenix, a mythical bird that regenerates from its own ashes, symbolizes rebirth, renewal, and immortality. In the context of Rosicrucianism, the phoenix represents the idea of spiritual resurrection and the transformative power of overcoming challenges. For Rosicrucians, the phoenix is a symbol of hope and renewal, emphasizing the potential for personal and spiritual rebirth through inner work and understanding. The pentagram.
Okay, so let's check out the Phoenix. So obviously we know what the Phoenix is. It's really big in Indian, like a Native American. It's also in the Middle East, and it's also a really big thing with the Egyptians. Okay, so the Phoenix, Finnish ministry, published 1917. The winged symbol means Phoenix from the Egyptians. Awake 1990, Insight of the Scriptures, Volume 1. Okay, so that's going to be in JW literature. We're going to look at it. So Rosicrucian order, you can see that we have that alchemic symbol there. You can see the Rosicrucian symbol, and you can see the Phoenix symbol is right here. So we know that that is, to this day, a Rosicrucian order. Now we look at the winged symbol, right? If you go look at that symbol, you can see that it belongs to the Horus, the Egyptian god Horus. So that's what that symbol is representing. They're worshippers of Horus, okay? The Egyptian god, the sun god. Right there, JW literature. Just take a moment, suck it in. So for those of you who are kind of getting a little like anxious right now, it's okay. I can understand that. Just understand you've always wondered what that symbol is and why they had it on there. This isn't an accident. You don't accidentally put this symbol in. You don't accidentally put one of the most common symbols for an Egyptian god onto your literature and then what? What's the excuse for this? Why did Jehovah do this? Who is Jehovah? Well, if this is a representation of Jehovah, then Jehovah is Horus? I mean, what's your excuse? I mean, honestly, think about this, guys. So obviously, it belongs to the Masonic order. We'll get a little more into the Masonic stuff, but that won't be till a little bit later. So just so you know, this is the 18th degree. Right here is the Rosicrucians. They show up in here. These are Scottish Rites. The Scottish Rite is a group of religious orders that are associated with the Masons, and a lot of their members are Rosicrucians. Now, Scottish Rite members, just so you know, a lot of the governing body are Scottish, right? They're from Scotland. Think about that. Somebody pointed that out to me. If you know which ones are and aren't, because I did not take them down, but somebody was telling me this, it'd be something you put in the comments. But I've heard that that would be interesting if that is accurate. As far as I know, um, I don't know which ones are, but If you do, then yeah, that would be something else you can add to that group. But once again, here's a closer image. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, to prove to you guys that this Rosicrucians are all over the place, they're not just JWs, they're not just, Watchtower. The movie, the creator, okay? The ship up there is the exact same symbol, right? It's the phoenix. That symbol is in there. This movie is about hating America. So the Rosicrucians hate the American government and they hate America, just so you understand. They don't like freedom and they don't believe in it. That's why they make movies like this. This is why Jehovah's Witnesses hate the government. This is why Jehovah's Witnesses teach you to fear the government, not to trust the Americans, and all these other things, not to believe in any government or anything, because this government believes in freedom. That is the exact opposite of what Watchtower believes in. They don't believe in freedom, they believe in control. And Rosicrucians, that's part of their belief system, is you are to change and to adapt to their order to serve them. That is their belief system. Okay, so now with that being said, we'll move on to the pentagram. And this one is really going to bother you guys.
This ancient pagan symbol features a five-pointed star representing the five elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and the human microcosm. The pentagram symbolizes the harmony and balance of the elements within the individual. It also represents the connection between humanity and the cosmos, encouraging Rosicrucians to understand their place in the universe and strive for personal and spiritual alignment with the natural world. The hexagram.
Okay, now the pentagram is one that is going to really, really, really upset members of Jehovah's Witnesses, because Jehovah's Witnesses, JWs, they believe the pentagram is directly associated with Satanism. Now, for those of you who are not JWs and watching this, I want you to understand that the pentagram for them means something different than, would say, the average person. So obviously, it's a representation of the elements. Okay, so the pentagram represents the five elements in the book. You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth, page 128. The occult symbol known under the name of pentagram. It is on the backrest of a chair, and when you look through another angle, it represents the famous Masonic symbol. Okay, there you go, right here, guys. You Can Live Forever, Paradise Earth, page 128. So let's think about that. You can live forever. What have we seen the alchemist symbol mean? The pelican, the triangle. These things, a lot of them are talking about living forever. Paradise on Earth, living forever. How do you get to paradise on Earth, JWs? You have to have a perfect body. That was number two, alchemy symbol. Right here, the pentagram. So that what you guys perceive as Satanism, and I'm not going to argue or say if it is or isn't. That's not the point. My point is as far as the Rosicrucians are concerned, this is spiritual. This is absolutely sacred to them, and this is why it's in their literature. So I think that's pretty simple. We can move on, and we'll check out the next symbol, which is the hexagram.
Seal of Solomon. The hexagram, a six-pointed star formed by two interlocking triangles, represents the union of opposites and the harmony of the material and spiritual worlds. It signifies the integration of dualities such as spirit and matter or male and female. It is a symbol of balance and unity, reflecting the Rosicrucian ideal of achieving harmony within oneself and with the universe. The seven-pointed.
Okay, so let's take a look at the hexagram, the Seal of Solomon. So I was looking for it. I'll be honest with you, if it was in there, I did not locate it. Of all the symbols, I didn't find it. Obviously, though, if you look at the Solomon, I went through the videos and I could not find any representation of the symbol in any of the videos that were calling themselves on jw.org the Solomon. I didn't see it. I might be missing it. You guys might be able to find it. These are the videos that I could see that obviously have the name. I didn't find anything particularly unusual in them. Now, this one is kind of strange, and this will kind of be with the very next one we're talking about. So, I've also seen and heard, and this may not be accurate, is that the Seal of Solomon is also associated with the the seven pointed star, which is the hexagram. So, I'll tell you an interesting story about this one, but obviously, so JW.org, if the Seal of Solomon is also considered this, then this would fall in that category, and that's why I have it here.
Star heptagram. This star represents the 7 classical planets and the 7 stages of spiritual development. The heptagram symbolizes the stages of spiritual ascent and the influence of celestial bodies on human life. It reflects the Rosicrucian belief in the interconnectedness of the cosmos and the individual's spiritual journey, guiding practitioners through the various phases of their spiritual growth. The hourglass.
All right, so check this out, guys. So, we're talking about the belief system, the spiritual growth. We know that Jehovah's Witnesses say the same thing, spiritual growth. Now, I hope you guys are paying attention to the dialogue and the language, and you're thinking to yourself, well, they stole it from us. No, these orders have been around for hundreds of years before anyone ever had a little thought about JW. And they were around way before Charles Taze Russell. So this is really interesting because I'll tell you guys right now. So here's the symbol, right? Obviously, we saw what it represented. Here it is again. And then I was flipping through randomly and I was looking for this. And I just got this weird feeling and I went, I need to look at this more. So at first I looked at it and I was like, I don't know why I feel like I should look at this. And then I decided, well, wait a minute. What is this? What's up here in the corner? And then it dawned on me, I went, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The symbol is right there. It's hidden in the image. And I was like, huh, well, that's pretty interesting, right? So once again, here's the JW. This is where I seen this, and I went, that's pretty interesting. And then I remembered this. And so the book of Revelations, right? This is one of those weird JW images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see it? Remember I showed you the triangle and how they'll create this and they'll use images? There it is again, showing up in the Revelation when it's represented by the fire. And I went, wow, that's pretty creepy. So the hexagram star, the seal of Solomon, is also the Star of David. So this is um, the chapter that they're visiting Jesus. So if you go to JW, if you put this in there, that image, just so you guys can validate if I'm telling you the truth or not, that image is belonging to the organization, this is what you would type in. So you can screenshot it if you want to type that all out. So like once again, so the Seal of Solomon, that stuff is in there. They have videos about it. I don't really think that was super relevant, but here you get jw.org, chapter 7. Here you go, visit Jesus. Those are the 7 wise men. Do you think that's a coincidence? No. Now, here's the hourglass.
The hourglass represents the passage of time, the transient nature of life, and the importance of living with purpose and awareness. The hourglass serves as a reminder of the impermanence of physical existence and the need to focus on spiritual growth. It encourages Rosicrucians to make the most of their time on Earth by pursuing knowledge, wisdom, and self-improvement. The sword.
Okay, so the hourglass symbol. So let's go and see. Do we see that? Hourglass app used for field service. I'm not joking, guys. So your guys' field service app, the hourglass symbol, right? The company, Hourglass, there we go. Hourglass, shape, present, drum, blah, blah, blah. So you could go look up hourglass in here, and then you can see that the hourglass is in JW stuff a lot, which is kind of weird. Just like what does the hourglass have anything to do with Jehovah? What does pelicans have to do with Jehovah? So the company Hourglass, so you can see right here, Hourglass is for congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses. So what are they using this for? Field service, keeping records. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, but it seems strange that the company, the third party company that they're using is a representation of the Rosicrucians. So you got to understand that their symbolism is everywhere, and this is part of their belief system to do this kind of stuff. They're going to use these, so you can see that obviously you can donate, you can log in. So the next one is the sword. Now, this is every JW has seen the stuff that I'm going to show you, and yeah.
The sword symbolizes truth, justice, and the cutting away of ignorance to reveal hidden wisdom. The sword represents the Rosicrucian commitment to seeking truth and justice. It is a tool for discerning and uncovering deeper spiritual truths, cutting through illusions and falsehoods to achieve greater understanding. The cup.
Now, guys, pay really close attention to what we just heard. It's cutting away the illusion, right? And it's telling you like what is most important to them. So we look at this symbol. I'm gonna we know what this is. He's got his sword. You know, he's gonna sacrifice his son. We've all seen this image from JWs, right? Well, have you ever seen this? You ever seen the face that's hidden inside of there? It's pretty bizarre. So you can see that you just type in, go to jw.org, and then type in Armageddon, and then you'll see that there's guys with swords. I mean, this stuff is all over the place. There's always angels with swords. It's always angels and sword in Armageddon, right? Armageddon, 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 Armageddon. So the Jehovah Witnesses are telling you what their belief system is. So they're obsessed with the idea of killing all Christians. So this is an illusion. That sword, remember, it tears away the illusion. The JWs, the Rosicrucians, are telling you that they want to kill Christians. This is what they want to do. This is why every single image that has the Armageddon, you have these angels carrying swords because they're going to bring Armageddon to Christendom, which is Christianity, which is planet Earth. Every JW knows this. The reason I'm spending a little time on this and talking about this, if you don't know anything about JWs, which is Jehovah's Witnesses, they are absolutely obsessed with Armageddon. They are a doomsday cult. Yeah, it's pretty creepy, huh? Now wait till you get to the next one here.
Chalice. The cup or chalice represents the receptive aspect of the soul, spiritual nourishment, and the Holy Grail. The chalice symbolizes the quest for spiritual fulfillment and the nurturing of the soul. It represents the divine feminine and the importance of receptivity and openness in spiritual practice. The chalice is also associated with the Holy Grail, a symbol of the ultimate spiritual quest and the pursuit of divine wisdom.
Okay, so do we ever see the cup, the chalice in JW literature? Or is it in any practice? Does it anything that you guys can think of that JWs use these cups for? Every JW watching this is instantly going, yeah, the memorial, the memorial. Now, here's something really interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute here. The term memorial is also something associated with the dialogue of Rosicrucians. the memorial service that you guys do. That is a ritual as part of the Rosicrucians. That symbol, that cup. Yep, right there. Now, is that the only time we see this? It's not. So we do see a representation of the chalice in the literature itself. So yeah, so these are JW images, so technically it belongs to them too, but this is the memorial service. So for those of you who are Christians and you do the memorial, you're like, okay, what's the deal with this? JWs don't do it. They do a ritual called the Black Sabbath, which is a pagan ritual where they reject the blood of Christ and they reject the body of Christ, which is represented by the cracker. Jehovah's Witnesses do not partake. The only ones that do are a group which they believe is the 144,000, which are called the Anointed. And you're probably wondering what in the world that is. They believe that only 144,000 human beings in all of history go to heaven. Everyone else will come back with magic spirit bodies from the alchemist stone. But they don't ever say that. They'll never say the alchemist stone in there or never say anything like that to you guys. They'll never do. Right there, guys, check this out. More Armageddon stuff, more killing of Christians. Once again, right here. It has come to pass. And the servant once pounded out his bowl. Oh, wait, I can't read this. Anyways, so once again, the symbol is they're killing Christians. It's showing up again. So let's just kind of think about this for a second, okay? People claim that JWs have nothing to do with Masonic orders. They claim that they are not part of any secret society. Every symbol that the Rosicrucians have is represented. The 12 symbols, the 12 most important symbols, are in JW's images. Now, you would have to tell yourself that this is a coincidence. And so I kind of want to share some stuff with you guys, and then we'll move into symbol. Actually, you know what? We won't do that. We'll do the symbolisms first, and then I'll show you some more interesting things that the JWs have. So, okay, so with that being said, we're going to kind of put this over here. And I want you to just pay attention to the symbolisms that you're going to see here, and then think about it while you listen to this. And then I'll go through my presentation in just a moment. Okay, so check this out. So I got a note here I want to explain before I run this. So this is the mystic rites of teachings of the Rosicrucian order. So what I'm going to show you guys is that oh, I think I lost my place here. I lost my thought.
At its
anyway.
heart, the order is
Okay, so the order here, this is a belief system that they have, is that there are, or actually I'll just play it and then we'll talk about it. Sorry,
composed
guys.
of 12 masters gathered around a 13th, who is the invisible head. This configuration is not a mere coincidence or a random choice. It is a reflection of a cosmic principle that we see manifested in various forms throughout the universe. Consider, for instance, the solar system. We have the sun, a central star.
Okay, so did you guys catch that?
At its heart, the order is composed of 12 masters gathered around a 13th, who is the invisible head. This configuration is...
So think about that. 12 members, 12 governing body members, the invisible head. Jehovah's Witnesses believe in what? 1914, Jehovah or Jesus came back in 1914 invisibly to run the organization. Now, I've always wondered where that 1914 garbage came from because it's just so crazy. So that belief system, that 1914 belief system, is a Rosicrucian belief system. So I want to, for just in case, for those of you guys who are not familiar with that and you don't know what I'm talking about, oh gosh, I should have had it already set up here, but I didn't. But Here it is. Okay. All right. So I apologize for that little delay there. So what you're looking at, this is the generation that will not pass away. So they said in 1914, and then they said 1975 to stay alive till 75. So the idea that the 12 governing body members or the 12 heads are going to get orders from a spiritual entity, and then that spiritual entity is going to tell them what to do. This is a Rosicrucian belief system, right? This is a mystical ideology that's coming from ancient societies that JWs have stolen and act like this was completely new and that this is only them. Okay, so now with that being said, there was some other things I wanted to show you guys here. Okay, so Rosicrucian influence on Freemasonry. So I told you they're associated with the Freemasons. I want you guys to pay attention to this.
Also left an indelible mark on Freemasonry. In fact, two Rosicrucian-inspired Masonic rites emerged toward the end of the 18th century. The rectified Scottish rite, widespread in Central Europe where there was a strong presence of the Golden and Rosy Cross, and the ancient and accepted Scottish rite, first practiced in France, in which the 18th degree is called Knight of the Rose Cross. According to Manly P. Hall, the secret doctrine that flows through Freemasonic symbols, and to whose perpetuation the invisible Masonic body is consecrated, has its source in three ancient and exalted orders. The first is the Dionysiac Artificers, the second the Roman Collegia, and the third the Arabian Rosicrucians. In his book, Lectures on Ancient Philosophy and Introduction to the Study and Application of Rational Procedure, the Venerable Hall writes, "The mysteries of Egypt and Persia that had found a haven in the Arabian desert reached Europe by way of the Knights Templars and the Rosicrucians. The Temple of the Rose Cross at Damascus had preserved the secret philosophy of Sharon's Rose. The Druses of Lebanon still retain the mysticism of ancient Syria, and the dervishes, as they lean on their carved and crotched sticks, still meditate upon the secret instruction perpetuated from the days of the four caliphs. From the far places of Iraq and the hidden retreats of the Sufi mystics, the ancient wisdom thus found its way into Europe. Several initiated Rosicrucians were brought from the mainland to England, where they remained for a considerable time designing the symbolism of Freemasonry and incorporating into the rituals of the order the same divine principles and philosophy that had formed the inner doctrine of all great secret societies from the time of the Eleusinian in Greece. In fact, the Eleusinian mysteries themselves continued in Christendom until the 6th century after Christ.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stop. That's enough of that. So basically, I just want to show you guys that the Masonic orders that have been influenced by the Rosicrucians, and that the hiding symbols and creating buildings and doing all this stuff has been around for a very long time. So there is this video here. There is another section that I want to show you, and I have to look it up here. So 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Okay. Now, before I play this, I want to show you guys something. So we know that Jehovah's Witnesses have a belief system, right, where you have to, it's like this hidden knowledge that you have to get or whatever, but they have like a religious way of doing it. So you have to speak to somebody, they become a Bible student, then they become a Jehovah, or they become a worshiper of Jehovah's Witnesses, and then once you believe that they believe everything, they've been indoctrinated, right? Really important. The indoctrination takes place. Then they move to baptism, and after they get to baptism, then you become a full-fledged member of Jehovah's Witnesses, and then you can move up the order. You can start getting other ranks because you can't go and be part of Bethel, supposedly. You can't be an elder. You can't be a circuit overseer. You can't be a ministerial servant before you've been baptized and you've given yourself over to the order. Now, think about that process. Think about that belief system, that societal norm in the organization, and then listen to this.
Initiation into the Rosicrucian order is not a matter of mere curiosity or ambition. It is a profound spiritual commitment that requires a certain level of spiritual unfoldment. But what does this mean? Spiritual unfoldment refers to the process of inner growth and awakening, the blossoming of the spiritual potential that lies within each one of us. It represents the journey of the soul toward greater wisdom, love, and understanding. The Rosicrucian order, like other mystery schools, recognizes that not everyone is at the same stage on this journey. Each soul is on its unique path, and the pace of spiritual unfoldment varies from person to person. Therefore, the order opens its doors only to those who have reached a stage of spiritual development where they are ready to receive and comprehend its teachings. This does not mean that the Rosicrucian teachings are elitist or exclusive. On the contrary, they affirm the universal potential for spiritual growth within all of us. However, they also acknowledge that the deeper mysteries of life and being, which the order imparts, can be understood and applied effectively only when the individual is spiritually prepared. So, how does one prepare for Rosicrucian initiation? The process is not about accumulating intellectual knowledge or performing certain rituals. The end goal is inner transformation. It involves cultivating virtues such as wisdom, compassion, and humility, expanding one's consciousness, and developing the capacity to perceive and work with spiritual realities. Eligibility for Rosicrucian initiation is about the readiness of the soul. And the soul is ready when one is prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries of existence and take on the responsibilities that come with such knowledge. At its heart, the order is composed of 12
Okay, so we're going to stop there. So the reason why I'm showing you these videos that are about the Rosicrucians is showing you that their dialogue is the same, the belief systems are the same, their symbolisms are the same because they are the same. They're the same organizations. So my reason for this and the reason I'm playing this video for you is the Rosicrucian order symbols. I want you to know what they are. I want you to see Watchtower, right? And I wanted you to see the way that they speak, their dialogue. And then I wanted you guys also to understand the hierarchy of the organization itself. So I'm going to go ahead and let this take over the screen here and make this a little bit bigger. Since we don't really need that at the moment. So, all right. And that's cutting off into the screen. That looks terrible. Okay, we'll bring this over. Okay, here we guys go. Watchtower is part of the Roman Christian order. So if you guys have ever wondered who's in charge of the organization and how it works, this is what it is. So the pyramid at the top is the Rosicrucian order. Okay, that's all those groups that we were just looking at and talking about. Underneath them are the Masonic orders. Now they go from 15 to 33 are the most powerful. So any Masonic order that is of the 15th degree or 33 is at a secret society level. The highest that goes to is 33. And then underneath that is government. Okay? And then, because think about this. You have the Rosicrucian order, you have the Masonic orders, and then you have people in government who are taking orders from these other hierarchy structures. So that's why government's on 3, the corporation entities. So this is really important. So underneath the government are the corporation entities. Jehovah's Witnesses are a corporate entity. So if you look them up, they're a corporate entity. And it's really important you understand that Bible Tract Society of New York is a corporate entity. And I'm saying that over and over again for a reason. Watchtower is a corporate entity. It's not a religion. It's a corporate entity. If you sue them, you're suing a corporate entity. The governing body, faithful and discreet slave class. That, if you guys don't know what that is, that's the leaders of the JWs that claim that they're going to go to heaven. That's level 5. Now, underneath them, these are the hierarchical structures inside the organization known as Jehovah's Witnesses. For those of you who don't have any idea what I'm going to say, these are just like job titles. Excuse me. Oh, it's a lot of talking. Watchtower Corporation, or Watchtower's Coordinator Committee, the Personal Committee, the Publishing Committee, Service Committee, Teaching Committee, Writing Committee, Traveling Overseers, Elders, Ministerial Servants, Baptized Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses, and then last on the list is Jehovah Witnesses victims. So in the world of the JWs, the Jehovah Witnesses of the world, they're part of Watchtower. This is the hierarchical structure that they believe in. The Rosicrucian order, recognizable speech. So this is the next part I wanted to talk to you guys about. So those videos that I told you guys that I'm referencing and talking about, which will be in the description, these are certain terms that they said when I was watching this, and I recognize this stuff because they're teachings of JWs. So for Christians watching this, this part of the video is not going to make a lot of sense, but for JWs, this is. Number one, negative context to the word, the world, those who are ignorant. So Rosicrucians believe that those who are not part of JW's organization are referred to as the world. Rosicrucians are doing the exact same thing. That term is stolen from them. And it's a negative term because when we say Christendom or the world, JWs are saying bad things. They think that those people are dumb and ignorant. All right. The material world is not the real world. The true world is the spirit world. So this is what JWs believe, and this is what same thing the Rosicrucians believes. So JWs really feel that there's this spiritual world that's taking place, and that's the real world. When you go to heaven, and that's where Jesus is, and Satan, and all this other stuff. So they have this exact same belief system. A lot of Christians do. That one's not unique to just the group, but the terminology is interesting. Okay, other entities speak to you through your subconsciousness, Holy Spirit. So the Rosicrucians believe that spirit entities speak to you. So the JWs believe that Michael the Archangel speaks to the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, and then that Michael the Archangel tells them new light and gives them spiritual food and all the information, and that's where it comes from. That's literally what the Rosicrucians believe, that spirit entities talk to you and give you information. Just on a side note, the JW Bible actually came from a spiritist that did the exact same thing. I have a video about it. We're not going to talk about it right now, but you can go back and look at that. Teachings. The initiation secret. Oh, the initiation secret knowledge. So we just talked about that. So the Rosicrucians, you have to be indoctrinated before you're allowed to learn the next level. It's kind of like Scientology does that, JWs do that, and then the Rosicrucian order does the same thing. You're not going to be taught until they believe that you're indoctrinated enough to go to the next level. So think about this. You're a Bible track society student, you get baptism, and then you're part of Jehovah's Grand Plan. So okay, you're learning JW belief systems. They don't tell you everything. Like when you go to door, JWs do this thing at the Kingdom Hall where they practice on how to indoctrinate people and not give them information until they get you in and they think that you believe them, and then they'll give you a little bit more, a little bit more. Best example of this is you're a member of Jehovah's Witnesses, you're a ministerial servant, and you're going to become an elder. When you become an elder, you get a secret book called the Elder's Handbook, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and then you get secret knowledge that other JWs aren't allowed to have. The term memorial, so that term is sacred and is used over and over again with Rosicrucians. It's Jehovah's Witnesses, the only holiday they celebrate is the memorial. So I thought that was interesting. Mystery schools only teach those deemed indoctrinated. So we kind of already talked about this. Example, Bethel, secret knowledge. So JWs have a thing where they have the secret knowledge, Jehovah's secret knowledge. When you are attacked physically by a member of Jehovah's Witnesses and sexual violence takes place, if that violence takes place on an adolescent, they will not report that person because that person has JW secret knowledge, and those records that they have in the blue files at the Kingdom Hall is sacred to them and belongs to the order, and they don't want Christians or the world to have it, and so that's why they hide it or destroy it. So if you ever wonder why they do that and you're like, well, that's like super destructive to their organization, it makes them look like crazy freaks. Well, it's because it's sacred to them. It's one of the things that they do and believe that they're doing that as a religious thing. Okay, spiritual communion, spiritual development. Okay, spiritual commitment, spiritual development. You are only told once you're deemed spiritual ready. Elders handbook. Okay, I kind of already talked about this. So the word is okay. It's spiritual commitment, spiritual development. You are only told once you're deemed spiritually ready. Elders handbook. The seekers of geonosis or geonostis. The belief is called spiritual unfoldment. Oh, that was a mouthful, guys. Sorry, I kind of like mucked that one up. But basically, that word, that gnostic or gnostic. I don't know why I completely forgot this. You can look that up. It's part of their belief system. It's the whole Jehovah's everything belief system. And spirit. The belief is called spiritual unfoldment. Okay, I don't know. I forgot what exactly it was. 100%. Oh, okay. So you're okay. So I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. So what this is you're only told what you're deemed spiritually ready. The Elder's Handbook, for an example, it's called the Gnostic. That's the belief system, is what I was trying to reference here, and the belief is called spiritual unfoldment. So their term is spiritual unfoldment. That's what this is. This is what the practice of hiding the information is called. That's what I was trying to get at. I apologize. Okay, compassion, humility to the teachings are viewed as virtuous, not virtual. So I got a story to tell you guys with this. So the compassion, humility, this is terms that Jehovah Witnesses use all the time, and it's positive things that makes you a better person. It has nothing to do with the actual real terminology that everyday normal people use. It's their own version. So compassion, humility only represents people who openly believe the organization. So, for example, someone in my family was telling me about doing door-to-door work, and they talked to a doctor, and they said that that doctor was showing humility and compassion because he was listening to them and their anti-evolution belief system. It was a doctor, and so they're telling me that he was showing compassion, humility, and it has nothing to do with it. But this is like a weird belief system that they have, and it's only for those who are the compassion is only for that who believe the teachings or follow the teachings. Number nine, or 12. Okay, yeah, remember the thing about the governing body. The 12 masters gathered around the 13th, which is invisible head, Jesus, visible coming 1914. So obviously 12 governing body members originally, and then the 13th is obviously the invisible Jesus that came back that nobody seems to know about. That's a Jehovah Witness belief system. The 12 governing body members represent, oh, this is interesting. The 12 governing body members represent the zodiac, channeling spiritual forces to lead humanity, spiritual food, and new light. So, spiritual food and spiritual new light, and then being channeled from an entity, and then how the governing body are representing of the 12 in the zodiac symbol. There you go, guys. Rosicrucian order numbers in okay, so this is kind of weird. So the Rosicrucian order numbers in I cannot say this geometry. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Anyways, it's a form of mathematics. Charles Taze Russell and pyramidology. So if you go back and you look at some of those old books that we were talking about with the JWs, which well, I just want to bring one up. So right here, you see that? See that? This is one of their symbols. This is one of the JW books. They're using mathematics. So what this is talking about, Jehovah Witnesses 1914 belief system is based on pyramidology and some kind of mathematical equation. So using mathematical equations in order to create into the world predictions and things of that nature, that's a Rosicrucian belief system that Jehovah Witnesses have acquired and claimed that they were their own. And it's not. They've been doing it, and the Rosicrucians have been doing it even before Jehovah Witnesses are even formed. So that is also the predictions that they make that are false predictions that they make as part of a Rosicrucian belief system. That was another thing that makes them the same. Uh, they treat the order as, oh, this is interesting. So they treat the order as if it's a living organism. Watchtower. So the Rosicrucians, like the actual Rosicrucian society and order, whatever you belong to, they treat that order and society as if it's a living entity. This is the biggest thing. There's a correlation between the two that I have to show you guys. Is the Rosicrucians do that? Jehovah Witnesses treat Watchtower as if it's a living person. You talk bad about Watchtower. Watchtower this. Don't be reproached on Watchtower. Don't be reproached in Jehovah's name. Watchtower is a living entity to them, or they treat it that way. And now this one is number 13 is brothers go out and preach the word. This term is part of their belief system. 7 brothers, they go out in the world. They are bringing light to the world. So the Rosicrucians have a story about these 7 brothers. So the reason Jehovah Witnesses say brothers and brothers are part of the organization, there's always brothers are the ones that go and preach and do the word. They're the only ones that are allowed to go and be elders and all that stuff. It has to do with this story about the 7 brothers that go out and preach to the world. They bring light to the world. Those are Jehovah Witness terms. Christians here, I don't know what I'm talking about. JWs are going, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. That's our language. That's our talk. Why are you using it? Well, it's not. This is hundreds of years before Jehovah Witnesses were formed that they were talking about this story about the 7 brothers. Your term when you say brother, brother this, brother that, the elders, they're brothers, that terminology is derivative of the story. Direct quote, there are 7 brothers who at times go out into the world and perform whatever work or works may be necessary to advance the people. Think about the door-to-door ministry, the brothers. Think about those terms. Now, we've said that. Go out and do Jehovah's works. That phrase, that term, that analogy, directly coming from the Rosicrucian organization. Whew. Okay. Gosh, this is a lot, guys. 14. The physical world and the spiritual world are intertwined. The Holy Spirit, demons, Satan. Okay, that's a common Christian church. There's the physical world. There's the spiritual world. That's not going to say too much about that. I know you know that JWs have that belief system. Most Christians do too. The divine word or logos, Jehovah, everything came into through this. So Jehovah is a fake term that means nothing. Just so you know, it's not a real word. It's not God's name. It's a mistake. JWs know it. They wrote about it. But that's not really relevant. Their belief system is called logos. And it's the idea that one entity created everything. It's called logos. So Jehovah is just another name for logos. All right, so these are the 3 books that they were talking about. If you guys are interested, you can look them up. I've never read them. I don't know a whole lot about them, but they're really important to the Rosicrucian Order if you want to gather more information. This is the founder of the Rosicrucian Order. If you're interested about him, you can screenshot this. You can look him up. He's the founder, basically, of all these religions. If you want something more up to date that would be, let's say, more palatable for people like me and you can use Max here. This gentleman here is the writer who's wrote about Roman Christians and the more recent stuff about the societies. These are some of the symbols. Obviously, we talked about the zodiac and all that stuff. Those are Rosicrucian symbols. We talked about the 12 members of the governing body, the spiritual 13th at the top here. More symbols of the Rosicrucians. Obviously, there's the alchemy. Sorry, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I just want to kind of tell you guys that this is the founder of this is the founder, not the founder. This is Robert J. Hendricks III, who is the spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses. I want to show you guys this, and now that I've shown you all this stuff, all the symbolisms, the meanings, the orders, what it is. All right. Okay, guys, I'm sorry for that interruption, but I had to get something to drink. I just talking for an hour straight was tough. All right, so the last part of that video, and then we'll finish the
The
discussion of
rich
what I'm
and
doing.
complex symbolism of Rosicrucianism has been a
Secret
major
society,
reason
remember,
for the
secret
numerous
society.
conspiracy theories and distrust that people have about this group. The secretive nature of the Rosicrucians, their unclear history, and their links to other mysterious groups like the Freemasons have contributed to these suspicions. The Rosicrucian writings use symbolic language that can be interpreted in many ways, leading people to believe they have hidden agendas and secret knowledge. Their influence on intellectual movements during the Renaissance and Enlightenment, along with their complex symbols and rituals, give them the appearance of a secret society with hidden power. This perception is amplified even further by how they are portrayed in literature and media, making the Rosicrucians a popular subject for conspiracy theories. Regardless, the Rosicrucians remain one of the most powerful and mysterious of all groups. Even today, they continue to incite criticism and inspire awe. Which of these symbols did you find most controversial? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content,
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we can stop that, and then let's go ahead and bring this up here. Take a look. All right, so let's close that. So I'm going to show you guys some stuff here. Okay. But before I finish doing that, I want to play this for you guys. Okay. So this is one of the videos that I posted on the XJWs, and there I'm going to show you something that the Jehovah's Witnesses had made, one of their videos. And I want you to pay really close attention. So we've seen about the symbolisms, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of other things besides symbolisms and dialect. And then think about all what you've learned, all what you've been told, and then think about this. Why would somebody say the things that this individual is saying? Pay real close attention, please.
Ask for.
Why am I having such a hard time with this? Of course I'm gonna go to the South Congregation. There's no reason not to. But the problem is my attitude. I've told others for years that there are times when we have to put aside our personal preferences to show our wholehearted support of Jehovah's sovereignty. This is one of those times. I need to be courageous and stand up to selfishness and independent thinking, even if it's my own.
This is one of those times. I need to be courageous
Critical
and
thinking,
stand
guys.
up to selfishness and independent thinking, even if it's my own.
So, independent thinking is what? Selfishness. Independent thinking is wrong. Remember, I told you the organization of Rosicrucians, Watchtower, it's all about control. So, I'm going to leave him there. Let's take a look at our genius here. Now, let's get on with the presentation. Okay? So, what I want to talk about is the relationship that the organization has with its members and the control and its Rosicrucian belief systems. Robert J. Hendricks. Now, this is a secret society, and it's not just Watchtower. They're beyond Watchtower. They're a global society, right? If you go and you look up this gentleman, and he's the spokesperson, and he's married to a black woman, and you look up him and anything associated with him, because Jehovah's Witnesses don't go on Christian channels, they don't do media unless it's owned by a particular group. Okay? Now, you don't believe me, that group is associated with BLM. Every single channel, every single broadcast that has him on there is associated with BLM. Now, what does that have to do with Christianity? I mean, it's a real question that I want you guys to think about. Now that you've kind of seen the presentation that the organizations give, and now you know what they are, and then when you see stuff like this, and anybody who's ever seen my channel, you know that almost every video I've had has shown what this is. Now I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want them to use this, take down my video, but you can read it, you know what it is. So, what are you seeing right here? Now, a lot of you know that I'm associated with political movements. These are all Democrats that have a same interest in children that the governing body does and that elders do in the organization. Now, just kind of sit there for a second. I have records of Democrats behaving this way, and I have pages of them. Now, when you look at, let's say, magazines, articles that are pro Jehovah's Witness, which is Watchtower, they're all owned by this group. The Rosicrucians are an affiliation of this group. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and close that, and we'll move on with more of the presentation here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now that I have shown you guys all this stuff, I want to start showing you things that no witness has ever seen or would have ever paid attention to up until now. And hopefully you'll start to see a pattern. Now, what am I showing you right here? I'm showing you an elder, a criminal, who is into those things that we just talked about. Elders. Victims.
The Apostle Paul, if you'd open your Bibles to Romans chapter 12 and verse 1, we'll note that the Apostle Paul, as has been commented on, talks about reasoning on matters. That's Romans 12 and verse 1. He says, "Therefore I appeal to you by the compassions of God, brothers, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, a sacred service with your power of reason." So Paul says reasoning has power to it.
So just so you guys know, I don't know why the system is making the screen so small, and for some reason I can't really enlarge it. So unfortunately, we'll just have to look at it the way it is. So just so you guys understand before why I'm showing you guys this, and JWs have seen this, but non-JWs, when the organization was found guilty of hiding those people who are interested in children, this is the response that they gave to the public, explaining why it was appropriate for them to hide this and how you shouldn't be offended that they hid it, and that there was nothing wrong with this belief system that they have of children being victimized.
A synonym for power is influence. And so if you reason something out, you'll be influenced to make the proper decision, basically. Okay. Severe and prolonged mental depression. Why do you stick to this two-witness rule?
Two-witness rule.
And see, if you're not careful, that can do some tricks on your mind, because you have to think it through. Well, how might we do that? Well, we'll go to Matthew chapter 18 and verse 16, because obviously Christ Jesus established the Christian arrangement. And notice and he slips into warrants. How did that process take? Well, it was faith. It's important because we spend years developing a relationship with Jehovah God, and
we're done. Okay. So the reason I was showing you that is It's 8 minutes, and I don't feel like watching it, but we've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. Many of you have seen that. That's him talking about why you shouldn't fall out of the organization when you find out about that P word that we're not going to say. Now, it's really interesting because that same guy is the guy who gave the pillow talk about um, how how common it is at Bethel for two men to touch one another. Really, really bizarre stuff to be saying at, you know, basically God's temple, supposedly. And this is the kind of videos they're doing. It's that Pillowgate. The organization, 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in Australia reported abuse that was never reported by the organization. One of the things that we learned about is Shepherding the Flock of God book. This is the secret knowledge that we're always talking about, that we're always wondering what it is, you know. The elders are given this book. Inside this book, it talks about looking at images of little children inappropriately. And it says that people who look at images of children inappropriately, we give them that title that starts with a P, and they say that you cannot say somebody is a P unless the organization says so. And then in there, it says that as long as they don't share that images with people and people don't know about it, you can keep it secret. Not kidding, it's in there. You can look it up. It's been used in evidence in court. And then you have, you know, people like this saying crazy stuff. You have the leader who's a raging alcoholic who we all know about. Jehovah's Witnesses said that the end of the world was coming in 1914. They said every single one of these people would be gone before the next generation came, and they wanted you to give over your home, your money, everything you owned. People did it stupidly. This is the dates that all these people died. They then turned it to Jesus came back invisibly and a bunch of other stupid stuff. Remember we talked about that invisible belief system, the head, the 12, or the 12 with the head, invisibly 13. Then you have this weird guy who goes around and says that crazy things like we're in the middle of the end times of the last days of the last days of the last days before the last days, and says ridiculous things over and over again. So a lot of people have talked about Stephen Lett looks like some of the crazy, you know, religious orders are there that committed suicide and stuff like that. I forgot the name of the organization, but Heaven's Gate, and how similar they are, and that this man is probably mentally ill. Now, do I think that's the case? I don't. So he acts like this, and he talks really goofy and says a bunch of really stupid things, and JW's always talking about him. His family members have said that he doesn't talk like that, and it's a show. It's a game. It's pretend. Once again, more Armageddon, more killing Christians. And remember we talked about the logos, and we talked about the alchemy symbol, and we talked about what the alchemy symbol is, and we talked about that specific ideology and tool, Philosopher's Stone. What do you get from the Philosopher's Stone? A new body, reincarnated, perfect, everlasting life. Boom. That's their belief system. They stole it. End of the world. I just thought it was there. It's kind of funny. Unfulfilled prophecies of Jehovah's Witnesses. The coming of Christ, 1874. Resurrection, 1878. The end of the favors of the Gentiles, 1881. Armageddon, 1914. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob resurrected and go to their mansion, 1915. Christendom and its churches destroyed, 1918. I'm going to stop. But anyway, you get my point. They say a lot of crazy things that don't happen over and over and over again. So they're a secret society. They use symbolisms. They use occult symbolisms. They lie. and they don't tell you what they believe. Again, more images, just kind of sending the point. They have a belief system. They put hidden images in all their works, right? And it's not like it's happened 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of times. It's a pattern. This is a porn star. They put it in one of their magazines. They literally stole her face and put it on there. And then lied about it, got sued. Then we see other images like this, where you put mirrors and stuff together, and then you get a goat head in there. Now, is this a coincidence? You could say it is. But I mean, do you see this kind of stuff with other churches? There's something I want you guys to think about. When you think about just whatever church down the street that you have, whatever Christian church, do they have anything like this going on? Do they have occultic, satanic images showing up randomly in their literature? I'm just really curious, do they? Because we know it's JW images. This is a really important one. Everyone who grew up in my age that was a member of JWs knows what this is and seen this image. That is actually a reincarnate, or not reincarnated, but it's a recreation of an Egyptian god. That symbol, literally, it's an artifact. They put this Egyptian artifact in this JW's house because they're hoping that you're too stupid to pay attention. Just like the Shepherding of the Flock of God book. If you ask a Jehovah's Witness elder what this is, he'll lie to your face. And when I say shepherding the flock of God, then they freak out because they're forbidden to share this knowledge with anyone. They signed a contract saying they wouldn't. Once again, there was that symbol we've seen again. More symbols. You can see this one here. We get a little bit closer. There's a hand, a secret face, like there's a creepy face inside the hand of supposedly God. There's another face on the thumb. Just another weird JW image again. There is a demonic hand coming out, grabbing this angel's weapon. There's so a lot of these images that you guys see in the organization's literature and stuff like that, like there are particular deities, demons, whatever you want to call them, that they belong to, that some of these images will, when you learn what they are, you can see who they are and what they are. The Awake, is religion losing its influence? So a lot of these images are showing you things that unless you know what to look for, you don't see it. So this is another deity, another demon image that's hidden within the image itself. Sometimes you use mirrors. Charles Taze Russell, if you learn about his history, the guy has a lot of weird stuff in his history. A really interesting fellow that they kind of, they know, they don't deny that he was their founder, but they don't talk about things that he had done, committing fraud and things of that nature. You can see more with the mirrors. Now, I just want you guys to understand, you're going like, well, you got to put a mirror in order to make this stuff, right? So I just want you guys to understand, I know that being a JW, you don't have the education that other people do. You don't understand how things work when it comes to this kind of stuff. The mirror is really important to paganism and satanic belief systems. The mirror, when you're putting something in the mirror, is showing you the true reflection of what you're looking at. That's why they use mirrors in order to create these images. It's not accidental. It's literally their religious belief system to do this stuff. So there's that hidden knowledge that we've been talking about.
Ephesians 4:30 has been selected as the theme text from our comments this month. Ephesians 4, that we ruined. First.
Okay. All right, guys. So what I want to show you guys is we've talked about the symbolism, right? We've learned all about the symbolism of the organization, what they do, how they do things, and now I want you guys to see those symbolisms firsthand. So we know what we're looking for, we know how they talk, we know how they react, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to watch one of their presentations, and now with this knowledge that you have of what the organization does, how they use symbolisms, how that's a Rosicrucian belief system, pay attention to the end of this clip and then tell me how you feel at the end.
Samuel 16:7 says that mere man sees what appears to the eyes, but Jehovah sees into the heart. Yes, Jehovah sees what we are on the inside, and he knows exactly the status of our relationship with him. Well, as you can see, all 3 loaves are pure, clean, and undefiled in any way. This represents the clean relationship Adam originally had with Jehovah and that all humans were intended to enjoy. The sin of Adam tainted our pure relationship with Jehovah. The garlic powder represents inherited sin and imperfection that was passed on to all humans.
So
now that garlic powder is not poison.
So guys, I want you to, just in case we don't notice this, garlic powder is an enhancement for food. Okay, it enhances the flavor. Garlic bread, you have bread, and then the next level is garlic bread, right? So sin is garlic. It's an enhancement. Did you catch that? Okay, let's continue.
The bread is still edible, but it's no longer pure. In a similar way, though we're tainted with sin, Jehovah does not discard imperfect humans. He still allows us to have a relationship with him based on Jesus' sacrifice. Well, let's review our material. First, sinning against the Spirit. What I'm holding represents poison. And when the Pharisees denied an outright manifestation of the Holy Spirit, it was as if they rejected Jehovah himself. Their actions were like pouring poison on the bread. It totally saturates the bread. This bread is ruined.
Okay, so this analogy, I don't know if you guys have caught it. Now, remember, they've spoken and they've said in the past that listening to non-JWs is poison, right? So the truth, like hearing the truth about what the organization has done to children and then losing your faith in the organization is like being poisoned. So they're telling you through this representation from this man that the truth is a poison to Watchtower. If you know the truth, then you'll know that Watchtower is poisonous. It's poisonous to the organization for the truth to be mentioned. They're telling you, I'm saying this again, this is so important, that the truth is like poison to them.
When Jehovah determines that someone has sinned against the Spirit, there's no forgiveness possible. That one's relationship with Jehovah has been forever ruined. Jehovah discards the person like a piece of garbage.
So do you understand that analogy? The truth is garbage. People who are part of the world, who are not part of the organization, they think of you as trash. You're trash to them.
Just like Judas, the son of destruction. Well, second, let's review what Syria...
Oh, I got to show you guys this real quick.
A piece of garbage.
Watch this.
Just like Judas.
Watch his hands.
The son
Watch
of
his
destruction.
hands. You see that right as he was putting it down? It's really, really hard. I wish I could make it. Let's try. I'll try to pause at the right moment, guys. You got to catch this.
Like a piece of garbage. Just like Judas.
Watch, watch, watch. Boom. Right there. Yes. Triangle. He's sending his symbol to everybody right now. The symbol, the triangle symbol.
Well, second, let's review.
No. Oh gosh, I actually have this symbol. So Satanists do this all the time, and I want to show this to you guys, but I gotta find where it is in the images. You know what? I'll find it. I'll just
Do
let it
what
play while you
serious
guys
or
are.
gross sin generally refers to. If we dropped the bread into the mud, it becomes soiled. Serious sin is when we break one of Jehovah's moral laws, like the sins listed at 1 Corinthians 6:10. Serious sin muddies or soils our relationship with Jehovah. Well, our first reaction might be, this bread is ruined too, and we reach for the trash can again. Well, it's true that serious sin has sullied our relationship with Jehovah, but is serious sin the same as sinning against the Spirit, fit only for the trash can? No.
Do you remember the triangle I just showed you guys? This is what I was trying to find. I'm sorry, it took me a minute to grab it, but I figured I had to show it to you guys. So people are associated with like these secret societies and organizations. A lot of singers, we know what's going on. Obviously with P Diddy, Beyonce. There you go. Plain as day, guys.
You see, a person can be repentant over a serious sin. He ceases the wrong conduct, prays for forgiveness, talks to the elders, and follows Jehovah's procedure to become clean again. In effect, the mud is cut away. And to Jehovah, that serious sin of the past is forever gone.
So I just want you guys to understand the analogy here. So what he's telling you is you could commit a serious sin, and as long as you're following the rules of the organization, they're going to be behind you and they're going to protect you. So you can do horrific, terrible things, and it's okay by them as long as you follow their rules. Now you think about those people who like children. You can do these terrible things, but it's okay with them as long as you follow their rules. They'll be okay with you. They'll just let it pass. That's what they're telling you. That's what they're going after. That's what they're saying.
He doesn't think about it again. What's left? Unsoiled garlic bread. We still have an imperfection, we're tainted with that, but we again have a good relationship with Jehovah. Now, third, how can we illustrate grieving the Spirit? You remember, grieving the Spirit is drifting away from the lead of the Spirit. You recall Ephesians 4:25 through 29 listed such things as deceitfulness, continued anger, inappropriate speech. So grieving the Spirit is not like the poison of sinning against the Spirit, and it's not necessarily like the mud of serious sin. Grieving the Spirit might be likened to putting on more layers of garlic powder. This does not immediately damage our relationship with Jehovah, but if we continue to veer away from the leading of God's Spirit, we sadden him. We grieve the Spirit. So what should we do? Stop our inappropriate behavior and pray for forgiveness. And we must shake off any remnants of such traits from our person.
All right. So I hope you guys have gotten what I was trying to tell you guys about that presentation. It's odd, it's weird, and then when you think about what the organization has done, what they've been accused of, and what they're telling you to do, and then when you look at that, then you start to see things just aren't right. Something really starts to look bad. So remember everything I've shown you guys, right? Oh, well, I guess we'll just have to manually blow it up. The leaders of the organizations, they wear Masonic rings. They claim they're not Masons, but they are. Why are you wearing a Masonic ring? That's a big question we should be asking ourselves. Why do they have these rings? Why do they have such expensive suits? Why are they doing this? Why did Maui give a $40 million liking children lawsuit to a victim, and then the next thing we know, that entire state is on fire? So, what things appear to be with the organization may not be exactly what the organization is. Right? So, we've seen all these hidden symbols. We've seen all kinds of things with the JW books, literature. Let's, you know what? Let's do this. Remember I said about the porn star thing, the illusion? You know, people might try to tell you that I just made this up. This isn't true, right? Here she is. This is the magazine she's on. This is the adult material that she's part of. This is who she is. These are movies she's been into. That's a photo of her. There's another photo of her. This is the Playboy she's in. Now, just so you guys know, I've talked about this. I made a video about this. You can live forever in paradise on earth. That's where you're going to find this fantastic image of her. Here you go. So, the organization can't be trusted. They do things all the time that you should not trust them for. Now, this one, this is disturbing. What does that look like to you? This is out of one of their magazines. Now, you've heard everything I just said, and you know how I feel about the organization. Pay attention to what they do and what they say. Because this is what you think for a second, but then when you pay close attention to it, you start to remove things, and you start to see things that don't exactly add up. And then you think to yourself, why would anyone eat bread by sucking on it? Really, it's a good question. Why did you draw this? Why did Jehovah want this? Really strange question. Now, let's see here. What are we going to? I gotta get this image off here. Okay, sorry, these are all falling out of the positions. Let me get them back to where they were before. It's just... All right. Well, the next thing I'm going to talk about is this gentleman here. So this is a biblical scholar, which is, I don't know his name at the moment, I forgot. But the JWs were saying that he said that their Bible is one of the best translations out there. He came on and made a video talking about how he never talked to them, never worked with them, and he had never said that ever, and that they lied. They straight up lied and used his information, and it was not true. And then that's just one of dozens of things that the organization does that, in my opinion, makes it so that you probably shouldn't trust them. Now, I've showed you the Elder's Handbook. We've talked about just about everything here. There was one more thing. Oh, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Okay, so the Masons. I told you how JWs are Masons, right? So there's the watch that they're carrying. It's $8,000 supposedly. Here's another watch that they have on, $34,000. So you're donating to these people so that they could wear upwards of $30,000 suits, or 300,000. I forgot what the price was. Someone knew the suit and whatever, but the watch is $34,000. Now that's probably more than my car's worth. There's more images of that. Here's another $27,000 watch. So, Masonic orders, we were talking about the Rosicrucians. There you go. The Rosicrucians. Let's see if they're on that. They're right here in the corner. So, are they a Masonic order? That's the question. This is the question that everybody had. Well, look at the screen, guys. I know it's kind of hard to. There's the 12 symbols of the Rosicrucian. Watchtower uses all 12. Here's one of the symbols of the Masons, the hourglass symbol. Or not the hourglass symbol, but the little compass right there in the middle. Here's one of their tombs. Remember, we looked at the JW leader, and he had a tomb, and he has the little symbol. It's a common thing for leaders and Masonic leaders to get these things done on their grave sites. Another interesting thing, remember we talked about the elements and tarot cards and all these things. The Jehovah's Witness tower, the symbol right there, the name tower, JWs, is derived from those cards, those tarot cards. That's where they get this from, and that's what it is. And it means like rebirth. Quinn had talked about that. There's videos you can go like that. And now the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the Kingdom Hall itself. Why do they not have windows? Some of them do. Most of them are built. If they're built by the organization, they don't have windows, and they're called a Kingdom Hall. The places of worship for Masonic people is called a hall. Kingdom Hall, Masonic Hall. Where do you think the name came from? All right. Well, so that's it. I've told you guys exactly everything that I could possibly tell you about the organization. I honestly can't really think of anything else that's on the top of my head that I think is relevant that I'm going to share with you guys. Very long video. My last video. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Think about all the things you've learned. Think about this presentation. Think about the symbolisms and all the bizarre things that are associated with the organization. And then you guys hear stories about them and if we should trust them or don't trust them and all that kind of stuff. You know, and there's all these like different like symbolisms out there, right? I use symbolisms too. So like when I make stuff about JWs, you know, I make funny things sometimes about the organization. When they say things like new light, babies are the enemy of God. Remember when the leader said that? How could babies be the enemy of God? Does that make any sense to you whatsoever? Think about the symbolisms that they use that are in their literature all over the place. Now, I made all these little things and these little memes and all these stuff, but for being funny, there's something dark behind every single one of them saying something that you should know. Now, sometimes I try to be funny about this stuff, but I really want you guys to take it seriously that these people are not good and that they are dangerous and that I think that you should investigate them before you join their order. And with that being said, I got one more thing I'm going to share with you guys, and I'm done. All right, guys, for those of you who have been watching my channel since the beginning, I really am grateful for everything you've done. For those of you this has affected and giving you an opportunity to think about what you've done and helped you grow out of the organization, I thank you for that. For those of you who've never seen me before, have no idea who I am, you watched it, thank you. And for those of you who are part of the organization, for those of you JWs who watch this and don't give a shit and are still going to continue doing the things that you do, I have a special announcement for you, and I've saved for the end of this video. And with that being said, I would like to deliver that special announcement to you guys right now.